Hey guys, it's Swags with Ironman 4x4America.com, and today we're going to be walking through the install of our brand new Raid Series Stubby bumper for the Jeep JLU. We've got a Rubicon in Sarge Green. I love this rig, it's super capable. Really excited to get a little more seat time in it. Let's get rocking and rolling. All right, step one, we want to pop this little trim piece right behind the bumper, between the bumper and the grill. So get yourself a flathead screwdriver, and we can pop this center tab up. Go nice and slow. You don't want to break it. Just work your way around. That pops right out like that. Got one on the right side, one on the left. Nailed it. All right. Pop that dirty dog out. All right, we've got to pull off this splash guard. You've got 7 13mm bolts. And two back there, 5 up front. Kind of the thought is if you're working by yourself, you always kind of want to try to maintain that center position because then you can brace things better. See, now everything's just hanging on this one bolt. This makes it easier to lower it down. Cool, easy. All right, we got a wire harness over on the front passenger side. There you go. And that disconnects your entire front bumper. All right, we're on the front right side of the Jeep, and we want to pull this side bolt out. It's a 16mm bolt, so we'll take that out. Same thing on the front left side. Pop those out. All right, now we've got to remove these 18mm nuts here. That's what actually holds the bumper shell onto your frame. So we're going to do the inside, 2 on the outside, but start with the bottom. That way the top will hold it in place and let it hang. That wasn't loud. All right, now we'll get this top one off. And smooth. We'll get this outside too. And we'll just loosen the top one. There we go. We'll go get the other side. And loosen the top, but don't take it off. Then the bumper won't accidentally fall on you. And the last 2 on the inside. And the top one. Loosen that up. See, and that's why we leave those 2 top nuts threaded on there, because this whole thing would just come falling down if we didn't. So support the bumper shell with one hand, and with the other, we'll unthread these 2 top outer nuts. There goes one. And this bracket should pop off too. All right, so I'm gonna take one hand on the top of the shell, the other on the bottom, if you're doing this by yourself, and then just lift and pull, and you're basically just bench pressing it off. And then I will put it down. All right, so the winch tray, to get it crammed in here, it's a super tight fit, so you do need to pull your grill off. Really, really easy. Grab yourself a flathead screwdriver, kind of pop, then get underneath that bottom flange. See the tops come out. No big deal. We just want to kind of work it out like that. We can put them back together. Cool. And we'll set that aside. One there. As I get my flathead under there, I kind of slide it under and then just roll. You kind of want to roll and twist it up. Then you won't break them. And then we've got one here on the outside, one on the other side. You just want to lift and pull forward. And then the bottom has 2 clips in there, and you can just pop them out. And this piece wants to pull away. So don't pull it all the way out yet. So we've got, this is the wiring harness down here. Unclip that just to press the tab and pull. This is going to be your front sprayer. So you might get a little wet here, but we'll just pop it back, hold it up, That'll keep a bunch of windshield washer fluid spraying on you. That's it, then we can remove it. All right, now grab your winch tray from the front, point it straight down. It's kind of a tight fit. Go all the way down and then rock forward. There you go, and it fits. Now, on your Rubicon owners, this is your detachable sway bar. There's a rubber hanger here. It's just gonna touch there, no big deal. All right, so a couple things. One is, now that we've got the winch tray or the winch cradle set in between the chassis rails, we're gonna grab our recovery point. I keep my left knee on here just so I can kind of hold it up. Take the recovery point there. There's a hole right there. You're gonna take this big long bolt with a flat washer, feed it through, and it'll pop out the other side, and you might need to raise or lower the winch tray so that it lines up. It's gonna push all the way through the chassis and out the other side of the frame rail. Now you're gonna have a large nut that's flanged with these serrations. You wanna put it on there and we'll spin it down. All right, we'll leave that loose for now and come back around to the recovery point side. All right, one thing I wanted to mention about the included hardware is these front Raid bumpers work on JLs, JTs, the Gladiator, and also JKs. So we've included hardware that works across multiple different vehicle platforms. So some stuff you need, some stuff you don't. So you're gonna have some taller bolts and ones that are just a little bit shorter. We're gonna be working with the short bolts. And you're gonna go right here. There's a threaded nut on the back side. We'll hand tighten that in. You've got a hole right there. It's got a threaded insert on the back. So we'll spin that down. And then if you can look right down the barrel, kind of in between the chassis and the frame, there's a bit of a gap there. So we've included some of these shims for the JL and the JT. And you're gonna face it forward, just like that. And you slide it in between. And you wanna hook the bottom. This little gap's gonna hook on the bottom bolt, and this top gap is gonna hook on the top bolt. And it fits just like that. And you'll need one shim on the driver's side, and then one shim over here on the passenger side. And I've already got this loosely threaded up, but same kind of thing. When we bolt it down, everything will squeeze down nice and tight. So our JLU is a Rubicon, and it's got that super fancy push button sway bar disconnect setup. Other models of Wrangler though that I think don't have the push button disconnect, on the sway bar they're gonna have a little bracket that's the headlight leveler. You mostly see these on international models so that if you raise your truck or your truck's articulating, it keeps the headlights from blinding oncoming traffic. So anyways, if you have that, make sure you rehook it back up. We got our winch tray all mocked up. We got the recovery point bolts all kind of finger tight. And before we went any further, we're gonna put one of our 9,500 pound synthetic rope winches in, one of the monster winches. And let me just show you what we did here. Kind of the hardest part of this whole thing, putting a winch together, is finding a good place to route your positive and negative cables and then the breather line. So we went right in front of the battery, dropped it straight down, avoided anything that was moving around, and had it pop out right here. So we'll go back through and zip tie it all up out of the way of moving parts, keep it away from heat. Pretty straightforward. The control box, before we bolted the winch down, we hooked our control box up because we're gonna come up over the top, mount the control box on top of that flat deck on top of the bumper. It's pretty much ready to go. Now we're gonna go back through. I'm gonna tighten all these recovery point and winch tray bolts down. Then all we gotta do is fit up the shell, bolt our box on. We're getting close. Grab a 16 millimeter wrench and we'll lock this guy down. All right, we're gonna do the same thing on this side. All right, we tightened up our hardware on the inside of our winch tray mount, but on the outside where the recovery points are, leave them loose because we still have a couple bolts that incorporate recovery points when we go to put the shell on. Now, another thing I'll point out, this setup here might look different than if on your Jeep, like if you've got an older JK or you're doing a JT, you might use or lose one of these bolts. So not a big deal. The kit comes with all the hardware you need. Just make sure that you're bolting it up the right way for whatever Jeep you have. All right, see these 4 little bolt plates here? I've already got 2 installed on that side. We're What you're gonna do is you're gonna flip these upside down, and this is gonna go through the top hole of the bumper. Take these little plastic retainers, or little clear squares, and kind of twist and push and lock those down, and that's gonna keep it from falling out. Last one here. That'll hold in place just like that. If you've got an Ironman 4x4 Saber X light bar, it comes with this standard bracket. That's for if you're bolting it to whatever you want. But if you're gonna bolt it into the top hoop, not the top hoop, of the Raid bar, you need to take the included bracket like this with the slot going forward and back. That's the side you're gonna bolt to the light bar itself. And then grab yourself a 5mm Allen, and you can bear down. I'm gonna run my bolt up that way with the nylock nut on the inside. Then all you're gonna see underneath is the bolt head, and since it's on the underside of the hoop, you probably won't see it at all. All right, I'm gonna grab a couple 13mm wrenches. We're gonna drop this through that little gap right there. We'll pull the plug on the passenger side. It'll fit right through the top of the bumper shell. We can wire it up. All right, now we're gonna get our light bar hoop installed. And to do that, we gotta pop some plugs. Weep, weep, weep. And don't forget to run your pigtail through before you go to bolt this thing down. Because you can see there's a small provision there, but it ain't gonna be big enough once you bolt it down to get the connector through. Grab yourself one of these pan head hex screws, flat washer. Try to balance it, we'll drop that guy down. All right, flat washer, split washer, and then nut. Get that threaded on. And then you're gonna do the same setup over here and 2 on that side. And then you're gonna wanna grab a 13mm wrench, and I believe a 5mm Allen. The kit also comes with a couple Allen wrenches, so you can grab this 5mm, use the short end, and that'll give you access to get it locked down. All right, one more thing we want to do is get our fair lead bolted on for our winch. Once you get the thing hung, you're not going to have access to get back in there and bolt it on, so do it before you hang your bumper shell. The Raid Series bumpers are designed to utilize the Haas fair lead style fair leads, so the roller fair leads aren't going to fit. Okay, a couple of things to talk about. Parking sensors. We've got these nice flush caps on here. If you have the parking radar sensors, pop these guys off. Please don't forget, it's important to remember. The parking sensors that you pulled out of your OEM bumper, that needs to go right back into the same position in the same orientation. So before you pull them off, if you need to mark them with a paint pen mark or something like that, do it. Our Rubicon doesn't have parking sensors, and a lot of the US Jeeps don't have parking sensors in them now because we've got front and rear cameras. But if yours does, good thing to remember, do it now, because once you hang it, you're not gonna have room to get it mounted up. All right, before we hang our bumper shell, make sure if you've got your winch line hanging down, tuck it right back in here, because that bumper shell is going to be really, really tight and it won't clear. So if you're doing it by yourself, I'm going to grab the hoop, pick it up, try to get it as centered as I can, and slowly work it back. I'm going to grab my winch control box, set it up there for now, and okay, it's kind of hanging. And now we can look through these access holes for our winch. We'll push those bolt plates through on the top mount. Now we can reach through with our fingers, grab our synthetic winch rope, and come on, there you go. Pull it through, let it hang for now. Cool. All right, now we'll move around to the outside of the shell and get those bolt plates in. All right, what we're gonna do is reach in here on those bolt plates. We'll get a flat washer hung up over it, and then I'm gonna go split washer and a nut. And this is all 18mm hardware, so cool. We'll get that on there finger tight so we can get the rest of them spun on. It's going to be the same thing on the passenger side. Flat washer, split washer, 18mm nut. And I'm just getting it on here finger tight so that it doesn't come flying off. Now before we tighten these all up, we also want to run the bolt through the bottom right here. So grab some of these 18mm bolts, flat washer, split washer bolt. You're going to feed it through the bottom side. Try to get the thing to bite down like that. That's why we left this guy all loose. Because if you would have tightened the recovery point down earlier and this wasn't in the right position, it'd be nigh on impossible to get this guy to line up. Yeah, see how it's pulling the bumper in? All right, grab an 18mm wrench or socket and we'll get this top guy locked down. So we've got a nut on here, but see how we've left this bolt plate loose? It's so we can fit it down behind there and then get this guy in here. Oh, this one. I got a bite. See, you gotta go slow. You gotta toy with it just a little bit. You gotta tire it out. See, it don't know it's on the hook yet. And right when it thinks it's swimming away with the bait, boom, you got it. Nailed it. All right, this inner one is a little tough, this bolt / nut plate. So you can see it from directly underneath, but you probably need to reach in behind the winch tray to get her done. All right, this is what pays the bills, kids. You got your driver's side recovery point here. We're trying to get to this inside bolt plate. So what you want to do is you can take your finger here or in here, but take your right hand, feed it up behind the winch tray. Now you can actually get to it, and then hold the thing steady and feed it in. Same thing for the nut up top. So that is how you do that. All right, this is a bit of a circus, but I will show you how to actually tighten these down. Put an 18 socket on the end of a long extension, and if you have a swivel head ratchet, that's gonna help. Feed it up behind the sway bar, turn everything over. Yeah, we're on. And now you have room to actually swing your ratchet. See, I have this whole theory in my life. I think it's really gonna pay off someday. What I do on projects is, instead of going out and getting all the right tools, I try to do these involved projects with the wrong tools. And then, when I get the project all done and complete with the wrong tools, I go track down the guys that did it with the right tools. I'm like, in your face, it took me twice as long as you. And then I just walk off so smug. I'm just like, yeah. Yep, I really showed them. So we got the inside bottom bolt tightened down, but for that top nut, I found it easier just to grab an extension and a U-joint or a swivel and that 18mm socket. You can also get to this from the top side. It all really just depends on what tools you have or don't have, and yeah, how you need to access it. Oh yeah, that'll work. All right, it's the same thing on the passenger side, so just take your time. It's really kind of tight. Tight spaces, kind of hard to work, but what we're going to do on this top bolt plate is feed up the washers and carefully get them to hang. On the passenger side inner nut plate, you can see that I'm actually tightening from the top. It's a lot easier to get my ratchet through the top and room to get it tightened down. Now to get that bottom bolt, I'm just going to feed my socket down here. I've got a U-joint and a short extension. And once I'm on, I'll start wrenching. Let's go back and double check the outside bolts. I know we got them snug, but Now we can tighten them all the way down. All right, those are extra to Higgett. All right, lock down. That side is done. All right, let's tighten our recovery point down now that everything is tightened on the bumper shell. We'll start with this top 16 because that's got that threaded insert we're tightening it down into on the frame. All right, we'll do the same on the other side. All right, we'll tighten this top one down. So we'll throw an 18 wrench on the bottom through bolt of our recovery point, and then we'll ratchet it down from this side. It's kind of hard to get the socket in there. So you might actually need to reverse it and go ratchet on the bolt side, and then wrench on this side. There we go. Swivel head ratchets are nice when you need them, but kind of a pain in the butt when you don't. If you're going to run your parking sensors, the kit comes with a protection bracket, and it fits right up here on the passenger side. Grab a couple of these 5mm cap screws, and that's where they go. These protection brackets will keep all the road, grime, rocks, crap, debris. Keep it off the back of the wire harness, back of the sensor, keep it nice for you so they keep working. You can tell how these brackets fit because they L towards the inside of the vehicle and they've got these rib nuts. So we'll just set it right back in there like that. Grab another 5mm hex cap screw, feed it up in there. All right, those are in. All right, so you want to take your license plate bracket that came with the kit and grab these black bolts. They're 5mm cap screws. The threaded nut is on an adjustment. So whether you're in North America or in Australia, you can just kind of widen or tighten up these. Center your plate. Then you're going to grab the other set of bolts, and these pin in right here. And spin that guy down. Once you get that nice and tight, check this out. So you're bebopping down the highway and somebody needs your help. You pull over, jump out, say, hey, I'm here to help. I got a winch. They're going to go, what are you talking about? You don't have a winch. You're going to go, but don't I? Weep. Right there. And then when you decide not to help that guy because he was a jerk and didn't believe that you had a winch, you can fold that right back down and not get any bugs or crap all over your fair lead. Weep, weep. Ah, I love that. I want to get one of these for my Tundra. That pretty much does it. If you guys are interested in this bumper for your Jeep or you have any questions, you can contact us a couple different ways. One is on the live chat at Ironman 4x4 America.com. You have to get on a computer or an electronic device to do that. The other way is you can actually call us and talk to a person at 971-264-9016. Give us a call. We will talk to you.